Okay, so I've been saying the word bone stress injury a lot, but what the hell is that? Okay, so bone stress injuries can be boiled down into two basic terms and ideas. And the first one, I'm sure most of you already know of, are stress fractures. Okay, stress fractures, very obvious. Most people know what that is. It's basically, all right, you take a healthy bone, you run too much, and then you get a stress fracture. This is basically the extent of the layman's knowledge about bone stress injuries and what that is. It's you run too much and you get a stress fracture, and that's it. Okay? My hope today is to shed some light on this other thing, this mysterious behind door number 2 term. That is kind of what I had and what I think a lot of people might actually be dealing with without even really knowing it, and that is a stress reaction. Okay, so a little bit anticlimactic because the word reaction is kind of vague, right? So, okay, stress reaction, whatever. But so what's the difference between the two, okay? If we take healthy bone, okay, and this is a spectrum, and we load it, okay, and we load the bone, we'll get to a point where once the load is too much that the bone can't really recover and handle, you're going to start to actually damage the bone a little bit. Okay, there will be some degree of injury to the bone, and it's going to fall into this category of stress reaction. I'm going to further define the difference as I continue to talk, but basically you can know that as the load continues to get higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, then you'll get into the stress fracture, right? So the stress fracture is when there's actually a fracture line. This is really hard to see. I knew this wasn't going to come up super well, but basically there's a crack here in the bone. Okay, this is an x-ray of someone's tibia, and if this image was like perfect, 1080p quality, you could see that there's a crack right here. I'm not sure how well you can see it in the back, but I can't see anything up here. There's nothing. But anyway, so there's a crack right here, okay? And that's a stress fracture, okay? There's a crack, a fracture line. The bone is broken. In that spot, there's a fracture right there, okay? A stress reaction is going to be way more subtle. They usually don't show up on x-rays, but this is an image that I found that actually does it pretty well. I bet you guys can barely even see anything here. There's a little bit of swelling right here at the bone, like a little bit of almost like calcification, just some fluid there in the bone. So both stress fractures and stress reactions, so stress fracture, stress reaction, are bone stress injuries, but the stress fracture is the one with the fracture line, okay? The stress reaction are graded mild, moderate, and severe, basically how much swelling is on the bone, okay? So let's take, for example, Achilles tendonitis, okay, right here, all right? Ah, my Achilles hurts. What's going on at the Achilles? The Achilles, the tendon is irritated. With bone stress injuries, there's a problem on the bone. The bone is inflamed, the bone is swollen, or it's cracked. Okay, so this idea of a stress reaction is not very commonly thought about in our community because it's a little bit hard to understand and it's kind of vague. And yeah, go ahead.
You said this is the swelling is due to moisture in the bone.
It's more just irritation at the level of the bone. So I don't know if you can think about it like a pocket of fluid. I don't know if that's really the right way to think about it, but the bone itself is like swollen, but it's not necessarily filled with fluid. It's irritated is a way you can kind of think about it, okay? So yeah, so stress fracture, stress reaction. Stress fracture has the crack. Stress reaction is going to be a little bit more vague. They really don't show up on x-rays. This is a rarity. MRI is the gold standard for diagnosing the stress reactions, okay?